What's up everyone? Today's video is going to be my September wrap up. And yes, I did a really good job at sticking to my Reading to Zero challenge.
If the world had more of yours.
If you're new to my channel and you don't know what I'm talking about when I say Reading to Zero, it is a challenge that I'm doing where I am reading my whole entire TBR shelf. I'm trying not to buy books, I'm trying to only stick to what I have, and I'm trying to get my shelf to zero because I just felt so overwhelmed with the amount of choices that I had and always getting new books. In the month of September, I actually read 7 books and all of them were from my TBR shelf. So let's just give a round of applause to me, okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. Even though I stuck to my shelf, I did haul 1 book this month. So I am adding rock, paper, scissors to my shelf, which I'm not mad about it, okay? I had a free credit to use for book of the month. I am not a member. I just had this account that had this free credit literally for almost a year, and I've been waiting for the opportunity where a book would come up that I actually was interested in, and this one is definitely something I'm interested in because I love Alice Feeney. So I scored getting this book for free, and then I canceled my account finally because I am just not a book of the month person. My goal obviously is to not haul any books, but occasionally it's going to happen, and that's okay as long as I am still reading my TBR and I still hit my goals by the time January 1st of 2023 rolls around. In saying that though, I actually did go through my shelves again, and I actually am picking out 4 books that I am unhauling from my shelf. These are the 4 that I'm unhauling, and part of this reason is because of a book that I read this month that I have just decided that the tropes or the genre just aren't working for me. So one of them is Tears of Tess. I actually had read like 30% of this book, and this was probably like 3 months ago, and I just never went back to finish it. A lot of my friends that did read this, they said it was just like a 3-star book. So I am deciding to unhaul this because I just do not have any interest in finishing it. Plus, this category is like the romance, like dark erotica romance, and one of the books that I read this month was kind of more of a smutty romance book, and I do not like them. I am sorry. So the other books that I am unhauling, I have not read. This is Priest, I have Back to Delaware, and I have Long Shot. And the reason that I am unhauling these 4 books is all because they are dark erotica smutty romances, and I just know that I will probably not like them. I will not appreciate any of the sex scenes because I am just not that type of person. So I just decided that these just don't belong on my TBR. I'm not going to waste the time reading them. I'm going to be unhauling them. A lot of times you all ask like, where do I unhaul my books? What do I do with them? I actually keep a pile of them, and I end up selling them or swapping them via Facebook groups, and you can just do a little search for them if you'd like. And then I always save that money to use to purchase new books in the future. So that's what I do. Okay, from my initial TBR, there are actually 2 books that I did not make it to. Well, 3 books technically. Long Shot was on my TBR, but since I'm unhauling it, like I'm not even worried about it. But I also had 8 Perfect Hours and The Cabin on my TBR, and I just did not make it to these 2. There were no audiobooks for these, and it's a little bit hard for me to sit down and physically read a book now that I'm back at work. So these are going back on my shelf because I am still interested in reading them. I don't want to unhaul them. And so these are still in my number of shelf reads, if that makes any sense. Let's talk about the books that I actually read for this month. So first off, we had the Thrill to the Weekend Readathon, which is a readathon that I am hosting quarterly. So you definitely want to join the next round. It's going to be in December. I'm not exactly sure what time, but it is super fun, super interactive. I read 2 books for that. I'm Still Missing by Chevy Stevens, which I rated a 2-star, and Infinite by Brian Freeman, which I rated a 3-star. Infinite is kind of like Dark Matter. It is a time travel alternate reality book. It is pretty good. A lot of people actually liked it. It's just not as good as Dark Matter. So if you've already read Dark Matter, I don't think that you would rate this as high, but a lot of people in the readathon had not read Dark Matter yet, and they loved this and rated it like 4 to 5 stars. So you might want to check it out. Then with Still Missing, this is a like abduction story. So kidnapping, abduction. I just have read a lot of these, and this one just was not as good as the other ones that I've read. So that is why I rated it 2 stars. If you want to hear my full thoughts about both of these books, I can link the Thrill to the Weekend readathon vlog here where I talk about all these books and my thoughts. But those were the first 2 books that I read this month. Then I read The Cellar by Natasha Preston. I had been hearing a lot of good things about this, and I really like The Lost by Natasha Preston. I am hesitant as to what my rating is. I think it's like a 3.5 to 4. This was a really good book for a young adult thriller. So if you have a teen, they would probably really like this if they like more dark things. It also kind of reminded me of a younger, less dark Butterfly Garden, if that makes any sense. It also is more exciting than the Butterfly Garden because I thought the Butterfly Garden was really boring. But this is about this one guy who had a crazy childhood, a really weird relationship with his mom, and he kills whores is what he does. Like, he kills prostitutes because he thinks that he is making the world a better place. But then he also kidnaps girls in order to he gives them flower names and he keeps them in his basement. So that all was very, very interesting. The part that made it kind of the rating fall is the ending part was just so unbelievable. Like the way that they catch him, the way that they find out about him. I was rolling my eyes so hard. So unfortunately I had a really great time until the ending part, but I think a child, like a young adult, they're not gonna realize that and they're probably gonna think this is an amazing read. Okay, then I read Torn by Carrie Ann Cole. This is the book that I was talking about as to why I'm unhauling a lot of my dark romances or erotica romances from my shelf, because this is an age gap, like forbidden taboo romance where she is 17 and 18 in this book, and she is falling in love with her pseudo uncle. It's her dad's best friend that pretty much raised her whole life. They are, I think they're 15 years apart, but there is just a whole bunch of sex in this book. I usually like age gap romances, but I like more of an emotional romance, if that makes sense, and not just a bunch of smut scenes. So this one just didn't work out for me. Also, the guy, he loves animals, and there is so many animal talk in here, and I am just not an animal lover. I'm a baby lover. I love babies in my thrillers. I love them in my romances, but animals not so much. So I ended up giving this 3 stars because it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't my favorite. I forgot to say that if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts, I actually have a whole reading vlog for this book, so I'll link it up there for you. I also read Perfect Little World. This I actually just listened to the whole thing on audiobook, and I'm going to rate this 2 stars. This was definitely way different than I imagined it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a semi-cultish, weird compound book because it's about this girl who gets pregnant in her very late teen years by her high school teacher, and he ends up not being part of any of the pregnancy, and then she decides to be part of this experiment thing where these 9 couples all live together in a compound, and they all raise their children collectively. And so it is very scientific experiment based, but it's very literary fiction. So I just don't do well with literary fiction. There were times where I was interested in the story, that I was invested in Izzy's character, especially when she's going through pregnancy. That was a little traumatic for me because I myself had my 3rd failed IUI while I was listening to this, and also got my diagnosis of having to move to IVF while I was listening to this. So it was a little traumatic. I think if you are going through infertility and you don't want to read about a whole pregnancy and a whole compound where they're all just, living happily carefree. But if you are a more science experiment based person, a database person, and you love literary fiction, I think that you would end up really, really loving this book. I can see how a lot of people would be interested in it. For me, it was just not a lot of plot, a lot of character driven. It just wasn't fast enough. Last but not least, but I read these 2 Liv Constantine books, The Wife Stalker and The Stranger in the Mirror. I ended up giving them both 3 stars. This one has an amnesia trope that was very interesting, and this one kind of reminds me of The Last Mrs. Parrish and has the kind of trifecta of man leaves his wife for a new woman kind of thing. If you like domestic thrillers, and if you are a new thriller reader, then I think that you would actually really like these and probably rate them highly. If you are an experienced thriller reader like me, or if you don't like domestic thrillers at all, you might want to pass. But I have a whole reading vlog where I read both of these, so I'll link it up above for you so you can check out my full thoughts. So the grand total for September, I had started with a total of 125 books. I read a total of 7 of them. I unhauled 4 of them and I hauled 1. So I now have a total of 115 books on my TBR shelf. It is a little sad though that I didn't have any like really good books of any kind. Like I had 4 3 stars, 2 2 stars, and 1 3.5. So they were all in that like weird area, but I'm excited. None of them put me in a slump. I'm very excited for October and all of the books that I'm gonna be reading. And I think that you all will probably really like that too, because I'll have a bunch of books that I read, and so far it seems like I'm picking really good ones. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you are doing well on your Reading to Zero challenge too, because I see a lot of you saying that you're going to do it. I'm hoping that I'm holding you to it. I will see you in another video soon. Bye everyone.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love?